You know, I remember back in my Gift of Mod Pie review where I noticed that this season was starting to seem really similar to Season 3, which was my least favorite. Nope, that's a coincidence. They're not gonna fall into that right again. That was like 3 seasons ago. But as it turns out, this one was a little different. It's worse. I mean, I was prepared in case they dropped the ball or something, but I was not expecting it to be just so boring! Well, comparatively, I mean, no season is really awful for a show like this, but just week after week of episodes that were like a 6.5 out of 10, if even. Offhand ideas for stories that rarely seemed interested in doing anything special with its main cast, a season arc with Starlight that came back once in a blue moon and never seemed like it was going anywhere in particular. Even at my most negative, I was just bored. Who would go out of their way to watch a show like that every week? Yep, evidently this guy. And after all that time spent, I could count the episodes I ended up really liking on one hand. And if it's only the true A-grade outings, I wouldn't even need all my fingers. And the thumb is not a finger. I'm sorry, we're getting sidetracked. Okay, let's talk about the finale that thinks Starlight Glimmer is ready to support a whole 2-part story on her own. We start off with Starlight having swung back more towards humble since her last appearance. She's invited back to her old town for a festival, and she's afraid to go there because she's still insecure about her past after an entire season of this. And these are the ponies she hurt, so she has nightmares about how much they probably hate her. And in those nightmares, she's visited by Princess Luna, who tells her that they actually have a lot in common and gives her advice from that standpoint that she should open up to Twilight and the gang about this. Which reassures her and leads to them suggesting she take a friend for moral support, who ends up being a surprisingly helpful Trixie. Okay, that actually is thoughtful enough to be interesting. Well, alright, but my issue with Starlight was never that she wasn't interesting. I actually liked the episodes where she got some development, all 2 of them, even when they both stuck to a lot of the same points. She's only so humble, she's a dedicated student, she really does want everyone's approval, but she also has a little trouble not crossing lines, stuff like that. The issue is that they didn't seem to care where any of it was going. She decides that having friends is worth the time, and then she decides that having friends is worth the time. Okay, there's more to it than that, but you get my point. It'll be hard for them to portray this as some kind of final stepping stone and not just make it basically the same stepping stone as the last 2 when they didn't even clearly define what it is she's working towards. Passing her reformed criminal test? Becoming Twilight's protege who does something? I mean, even the earlier, more casual slice of life seasons kept it clear that they were about Twilight and the gang learning the keys to being good friends now that they had to carry the elements of harmony. In fact, while you're at it, they've been suffering from the same thing this season. With the possible exception of Fluttershy, the moments that clearly defined them were rare, and the moments that progressed them were almost non-existent. And now, our pinch-hitting showrunner Josh Haber seems to want to solve that problem by writing them out almost entirely, saying they were all just captured by changelings with no explanation whatsoever. Yeah. See, this is why your season was so lukewarm. You could tell right from the opener that Haber had no passion left for these characters, just felt no ownership of who they are, or where they end up, or anything. Yeah, they watch the baby and talk to the crowd. And Twilight looks for the spell and learns that to be a good teacher, she has to be in the background, like Celestia. And now you think you'll get a better finale if you just swap in characters you do actually care about a little, who the fandom loves and who mostly did make for good episodes this season? Okay, maybe that part's not the worst idea he ever had, but anyway, that doesn't matter if this episode can't address my point from before. They still have to build this story around Starlight. And to do that, they're going to put her through the conflict that was already resolved before this season even started, back in the Season 5 finale. Whether Starlight can be confident enough to face her old village and show them that she's turned over a new leaf.
How about helping us with the routes for the relay races tomorrow? Can you take a look?
I just want to enjoy the festival. But you will be a judge for the baking competition, right?
We had a few questions about the order of the acts for the talent show.
And the unicorns have a fireworks show planned!
Or that.
I was horrible when I led that town. I was ready for them to not trust me, but I wasn't ready for them to put me in charge again.
Okay, well I mean that still doesn't make the earlier episodes look like they were building to anything in particular, but at least this is an appropriate conflict for her to be dealing with after those happened. And yeah, determining whether she's worthy of acting as a leader is an arc that could support a large-scale conflict. Well, surprise, surprise, it looks like this episode managed to stand on its own 2 feet this time. I mean, that's a stronger premise than the last finale came up with, especially considering that one had a ton of potential going in. It even comes up with a playing field that doesn't make the thought of either side winning too far-fetched. The Changelings have a chance against Discord because they're invincible in their home base, and the team of 4 has a chance against the Changelings, even though they apparently just successfully masterminded the downfall of all of Equestria off-screen, because if they can just sneak in long enough to destroy the Magic Throne, the army is at Discord's mercy. Still though, after the last one was so disjointed, I'm gonna be looking for this one to step it up on the plot progression too. How does this build from one plot point to the next?
A changeling patrol!
Do you have any of your smoke bombs? 2 of the changelings didn't go with the rest.
With an intruder in the hive, they went to protect the queen!
This isn't the toughest crowd I've ever been in front of, but it's definitely the easiest to bug. Fellow rescuers.
You know that's not Discord, right?
I know this trick. If he says to go left, we should definitely go right.
One little pony all by herself. Oh, how will I ever prevent this daring rescue?
Okay, all in all, that is pretty well structured. The gang runs into the obstacles that you'd think they would. They get around them by combining creativity with resources we've already established they have, and what happens next each time does depend on how the encounters unfolded. Plus, it's mostly masterminded by Starlight, which does demonstrate her stepping up to the plate. I also like how they sidestep the characters falling for anything too obvious, and instead let the changelings get them only when they have a credible reason to. It's all intelligent writing that allows this to come across as 2 parties trying to get the best of each other, rather than just a list of predetermined events that could have just as well happened the same way with anyone. But that still leaves how they resolve all of this, so let's see it.
Thorax left the hive and made a friend. He shared love, and now he doesn't need to feed.
I decide what is best for my subjects.
I know what it's like to lead by fear and intimidation. A real leader doesn't force her subjects to deny who they are. She celebrates what makes them unique.
Are we seriously going the route where she just gives a big speech and turns them good?
I can't hold on to it much longer.
Sharing love is what made you different to begin with. Give her all of it. This is what happens when you give love freely instead of taking it.
Remember, people like you better if you're pretty. Conform.
Okay, well the answer to my question would be yes and no, it seems. Thorax and Starlight demonstrate firsthand that there is a better way and manage to outsmart Chrysalis, so it's at least not a stupid reason for the army to change sides, but it still comes across like all of them responding, okay. I'm just kind of indifferent to it. And that leaves the episode with only the strength of what I otherwise liked about it. The pretty solid invade the hive conflict, and the comedy, and the invasion of the body snatchers angle they do at the beginning, that was pretty fun. And the character interplay. I didn't even talk about this yet, but it's some of the most fun we've had all season, with Trixie showing us both her face and heel qualities in just the right balance, and Discord exchanging quips with her over their current predicament, and Starlight gradually getting more confident as their leader while remembering that she's still not quite the sweetest character in the show. Even cutesy Thorax is fun here, playing both guide and straight man well enough to fit right in with our main heroes. Yeah, I think I like this episode. Think it's the best two-parter since season 4 like it. Think it's in the top half of all two-parters like it. I mean, I know that kind of goes against where it seems like this has been hitting all season, but bad or good, I gotta call it like I see it. I mean, I don't know if it gets Season 6 out of last place on my card, but it's at least a match now. Against Season 3, it probably just depends on whether you prefer higher highs or lows that aren't as low. Still, this one doesn't quite match my favorite two-parters for 2 critical reasons. One, yeah, while Starlight's thing with Thorax at the end is fine, the way it convinces the rest of the changelings is rushed. What love are they even supposed to be giving here? They didn't make any friends. If it had gone for maybe a domino effect, like if Thorax started calling out to changelings he knew and shared his love power with them, and then they started accepting it and following suit, that could have worked. But as is, this is where the episode misses its chance to really push this over the top.
This is what happens when you give love freely instead of taking attacking it!
Ooh, me! I want to be the first to look like a rejected forest spirit. No, me! 2. Really, how do they expect us to buy that the Changelings just took down and captured all the most powerful figures in Equestria, including the main 6? I'm sorry, it's distracting that they expect us to just accept that. And yeah, I've heard the defenses people try to make for it. Well, they could have gotten them in their sleep, or they could have taken them out incognito because they're really good spies. People, if that were all it took to take down Celestia, then everyone would do it. There'd be a new one every week. Sombra'd be princess, Gladmane be princess, Surrey'd be princess, Crimson be princess. You'd never hear the end of it. And besides, even if you could think of an explanation, it wouldn't make this better writing. If your premise is that these characters have found ways to successfully hold the power as long as they have against those who would take it, then you need to establish that something's changed to go against it. Instead of engaging us by showing us how, you're taking us out of the story by making us stop to question the inconsistency with no right answer. But even so, I didn't know if they made two-parters like this anymore, and seeing it is enough so that, with the movie in post-production and a little time here for the team to regroup and create Season 7, yes, I do have some hope that it could be good after all. I mean, if they could just hit their stride again, who knows what we might get after this. In fact, it kind of makes me want to go back and catch up on the reviews I skipped this season, since most of them were of the episodes I actually kind of liked. Or in that case, better yet. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you didn't, well, you're clearly not sharing enough love with me. And if you'd like to watch another review, click the link on the right. Otherwise, just check the description for more links.